Welcome back. Well, we're quite a bit farther down the road to the Dome here in South Dakota. It's semifinal week of the playoffs. 14 teams will be punching their ticket to the championship game this weekend. And to make their picks on who those teams might be, here's Jason Andera, joined by the Argus leaders Brian Haenchen and KWSN Sports Radio's Craig Mattick. Jandy?
Thanks, Kelly. Yes, semifinal football is upon us, and we've got Craig Mattick, KWSN Radio, Brian Haenchen, Argus Leader Media, to join us to break down the semis. Let's get started in 11 AAA. I think we agree that Washington's pretty good. And on the other semifinal matchup, Roosevelt takes on Brandon Valley in a rematch. What do you think, Brian?
Roosevelt, the first time around, were able to control Braden Peterson. He got some big runs, but they kept him out of the end zone. I think Roosevelt cleans up some of the penalties that negated a few touchdowns for them the first time around. I got the Rough Riders in a close one.
Brandon Valley is one-dimensional. It's Braden Peterson. I think if he runs for over 200 yards, they win. I think Roosevelt can sustain the run for Peterson and win that game.
In 11 AA, Yankton got a road win to advance to the semis, but they get Pierre, which we agree will be a tough matchup. And then on the other side of the bracket, what do we make of Mitchell and Harrisburg? What do you think, Brian?
Well, it was close and not very entertaining the first time around, but Mitchell has their running back. He's back and healthy now. Hunter Headley's back for Harrisburg. I think, again, it'll be a really close game, potentially a much higher scoring game. I got Harrisburg by a hair.
Ooh, both teams have gotten better since that last game that went 7-3. I think Harrisburg, though, got more better getting Hunter Headley back, so I'm going to take Harrisburg, but by not much.
We'll have to look at the picks on the blog to compare and contrast. I'm going to take Mitchell in that one, the only one here on the panel daring enough to go with the home team. Let's talk about 11A, where Madison has really looked the part of a defending state champion. I think we all believe they will take out Milbank. But on the other side of the bracket, St. Thomas More got a road win last week. Got a really long road trip to Dakota Valley. What do we see in that one, Brian?
Ryder Kirsch, at quarterback, has changed things for St. Thomas More. That offense is some high-powered. They can throw the ball a little bit. I think they're underseeded at 6. I think that they get up early on Dakota Valley and sort of take control there and win.
St. Thomas More has proven they can throw the ball, and they did it in the wind last week in their win at Del Rapids. But Dakota Valley, defensively, they've only given up 14 points per game. It is a stout defense. It's a tougher schedule. I like Dakota Valley.
All right, in 11B, we've got a rematch between Sioux Valley and Bridgewater Emory Ethan. We all agree Sioux Valley will take that next step into the finals. But on the other side, Sioux Falls Christian, a little up and down over the last couple of weeks, host Woonsocket, Western Springs Sanborn Central. What do you got, Brian?
Parker Nelson has been great for Sioux Falls Christian. Defensively, they're going to have a little bit of a challenge there at John Woody for Woonsocket, Sanborn Central, Wessington Springs. But I got the Chargers there in a close one. I think that they're just able to find a way, get a couple extra scores, hold on the ball for a little bit longer.
Okay. I totally agree with that. Sioux Falls Christians had a really good schedule, too. Their only loss, Sioux Valley. I will take Sioux Falls Christian because of Parker Nelson. I
have no legitimate reason, but I'm going to go the other way again just to balance out the picks a little bit. I'm taking the Blackhawks in that one.
Carrying this guy.
9AA, Gregory, defending champs, rolling through the season. Rematch with Miller Highmore Herald. We all believe that number 1 seed will continue to roll. On the other side, Kimball White Lake, a little surprise in that first round. They've got Irene Wakanda. Let's talk about that game, Brian.
Trey King is the name that everybody's going to be talking about. He's the name that Kimball White Lake is going to be putting all their efforts into stopping. They're going to try and do what they did against Bonhomme, try and control the ball and just not, keep that kid on the sideline. I don't think they're going to be able to do it quite as well as they did against Bonhomme. I think Trey King leads Irene Wakanda to the Dome.
Kimball White Lake was able to capitalize on a couple of mistakes by Bonham, and they'll have to do that again if they're going to beat Irene Wakanda. But I like Trey King too, and I'm thinking Irene Wakanda moves on to the finals.
Kimball White Lake started the season 0-4, guys. 5 wins in a row for them, but I agree. I think Irene Wakanda is going to be too tough. Let's move on to 9A, where we've got Corsica, Stickney, and Howard. Some believe this is the 2 top teams in the class, but I think we all agree the Jaguars move on in that one. Warner takes on BrittonHecla, a 2-3 matchup. What do you got in that one?
BrittonHecla last week lost their starting center. The guy who stepped in played center for their JV team. Did miss a beat in his first varsity game. BrittonHecla, they have so much speed, they have so much depth in the backfield. I think that they win that one fairly comfortably.
I agree too. Warner was expected to be where they're at the beginning of the season. A lot of high hopes for Warner. But when it comes to Warner, they beat Bonham, but they have lost to Sully Buttes in the north border. I think BrittonHecla, I think Warner played the tougher schedule, but I like BrittonHecla in this one because of the weapons that you just mentioned.
All right, in 9B, we so far in all these classes, we haven't talked a lot about the number 1 seeds. We think they're just going to roll, but this one, Sully Buttes is the number 1 seed. They've got a really tough game against the defending champs from Cologne. What do we see in this one, guys?
That's a state championship caliber matchup right there in the semifinals. Sully Buttes' offense is just such a high-powered group. I think it's like they've scored 106 points through their first couple of playoff games. I think that they're able to keep it going because they're able to pass the ball a little bit. They're very good on the ground and establishing that game. I think that they win over Cologne, but it's going to be a close game.
Both these teams score a bunch, over 40 points per game. I'm going to take Sully Buttes, but if a number 1 seed is going to go down, this would be the class I would look for.
There's a look at our high school picks. You can take an in-depth look at them at midcosn.com. Click on the blog. You can also go to Brian Haenchen, to the Argos Leader, and check those picks out. And you can listen to Craig Mattick on the call this weekend at Howard Wood Field. For high school football, that'll do it for today. We'll check in on Varsity Sports Live on Friday. Back to you, Kelly.
All right, thanks, Jandy. Coming up next, Jandy's back in studio again to go head-to-head against Carla Metz, and we might even see some Christmas flair. Stay tuned.